Welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Peter Blade, and this is Boricua Stand Up, brought to you by Anchor Podcast and You Know Your Puerto Rican If Facebook page. Today's segment, we will discuss the mere illusion that Puerto Ricans still stick together and hold the same unity values as we once did. The reason I said mere illusion is because anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that no longer exists. And if it no longer exists, how did it become this way? Because we all know it did at one time. Do you think in your heart nowadays, 2022, that Puerto Ricans still hold that cohesiveness that they once did in the 50s through the 80s and 90s? The mere bond that had kept the Puerto Rican people united as a community, as an open door community, I should say, where all families unite, all families engage in activities. There was the confidence and will with everybody. I mean, when was the last time you actually seen Puerto Ricans get deep over 50 on a Friday night just because? Nothing in general. Remember the old saying, El Viernes Social? Well, that no longer exists, because in order for that to exist, you will have to have multiple families, multiple kids, multiple things happening under one roof. Doesn't happen anymore. Where did that go wrong? I think it went wrong where we all fell aside to our economic surroundings. I mean, one of the most annoying things about a Puerto Rican is when he becomes bougie. There is nothing more annoying than a bougie ass Puerto Rican. We all come from nothing, for lack of a better term. We all come from the same structural background. Our money isn't old. Our generation money isn't old. By the time the Puerto Ricans were made and formed from a melting pot, there was already famous bankers and Morgans and Rosenbergs and Rothschilds. Our money is not inherited. Maybe now you might find a Puerto Rican that has good wealth because of what was left behind. But good wealth is far off than being a dynasty, being wealthy, having generations of money, having trust funds. That does not exist. I am sorry. That's what makes the bougie Puerto Rican so annoying. Yes, you should always feel proud of your accomplishments. Yes, you should always strive to do more. And yes, you should always celebrate the fruits of your benefits. But not at the expense of somebody that you climbed over. Somebody who you look down upon now. It doesn't work that way. I could see if you had that generational wealth, those trust funds, those stock market books. I could see if your family owned the first shares of Microsoft, Apple, or even Uber. But they're not. Where did we go wrong? That's the biggest question right now. That's the biggest question mark. Do we even teach our kids about financial literacy? Probably not. Because most of us might not know it, but we are financially illiterate. It was never a goal in school. It's part of our educational system to be taught such things, because somebody has to fail in order for somebody to win. The poorest of the poor, urban neighborhoods, we're not on the top list of anybody wishing financial stability on. Would that change? I hope so, because just as much as we have police reform, court reform, all types of reforms, they should be educational reform, where there is a class where they teach you about financial stability instead of baking a cake at economics class, baking cookies. Is that a class, or was that a distraction? Was that a distraction from the financial responsibilities of the wealthy? Like I said, in order for somebody to win, somebody has to lose. Because not everybody can win. Because then there wouldn't be no winners if everybody's on the same scale, same level. So where do we stand at with one another? It's very rare that I see a thriving Puerto Rican business being erected in our neighborhoods and actually survive. Just the other day, I saw this Boricua restaurant just like that. They got the Puerto Rican flag in the front, and the name Boricua is part of the name. You might think it's pride. Me, as a business person, might look at it as very dumb. Puerto Ricans do not support Puerto Ricans. Just because you got a Puerto Rican flag doesn't mean Puerto Rican's gonna be like, hey, let me feed this guy's kids tonight. Let me go show love to the employees of this establishment. Nope, not even a thought in your mind. In today's reality, a Puerto Rican flag in front of your business will hurt you instead of help you. Keep that in mind. Because as long as we're disunited, you would never make money. You would never be a culture vulture. Using our colors and pride heritage as propaganda for your business will not happen, buddy. I don't know what would it take for us to bring that unity back, but just like every other immigrant group before us, the Irish, the Italians, the Jewish, in New York City, those were the immigrants before us who came, had the same struggle, shared the same dreams that we will later on become to adopt ourselves. But just like them, we moved on as well. So now it's like no longer a Irish area or a Chinese or a Italian area or